on here. I won't take up too much of your time because Luffa Gourds are easy. So we'll get to it straight away. This picture that's on this first slide, yeah, watch out is all I can say. Let's get going though. All right, I'm not advancing, so I don't know what's happening there. There we go. Okay. All right, so what are they? Well, they are also called sponge gourds, vegetable sponge. There are many different ways to even spell the word loofah. This is my preference, but it does come from South and Southeast Asia. But the word loof is an Arabic name for the plant. So there are two different types. There's this, I can't even say it, the angled loofah. I can't even say that name. And then the smooth loofah, which is what I think that I grow. It's not grooved like the picture, so it must be the smooth one. It's got a few grooves, but not that much. This is in the cucurbit family, so it looks a lot like those plants. What you're growing it for most of the time is going to be that interior that is very sponge-like, but you can certainly eat them. They're a gourd, or they're a type of gourd or squash. So, I mean, you can eat these immature, just like you would a summer squash. And just as a little, again, more information and history about it, during the war, World War II, loofahs were used in a lot of different places, including surgeries, filters and diesel engines, and linings of helmets. So I think that was pretty cool. Before I go any further, though, let me just say, if y'all can look in here, we did, and I didn't pull it up. We do have an ornamental gourd publication from University of Kentucky. It is, what number is it? ID 119. So if you, this is all ornamental gourds, but it certainly includes loofah in here as well. And the last bullet there at the bottom, I don't know this guy or gal who does this website, but I mean, he's got so much information on there, that luffa.info. If you want any more information, go there. Some of the pictures I got, as you can tell in the lower right, came from that website. So please visit, and yeah, you'll be amazed at what he does. When I get done talking, I'm going to do a little show and tell afterwards. So I've got some loofahs here that I can show you, and I'm actually going to peel one as well. But these are a long season plant. This isn't like a summer squash you plant in 30 days, you got something. This is 130 days, depends on the weather, of course. These are extremely vigorous vines. They will grow and grow. And that picture on the right, yeah, loofahs in trees. So, and even the bottom picture, they are, I won't say they're aggressive, but they're going to grow and they're going to cling on to things. So what we need to do is plant these after the threat of frost, because they do not tolerate cold at all. In fact, if you can warm the soil beforehand, which I have never done, and I said I was going to do it this year and I didn't, but if you can warm the soil beforehand, that would be even better. These plants want full sun, just like other cucurbits. As far as planting, you need to give them some room, but in the row, if you have a row of them, 3 to 5 feet apart, 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet, 3 feet even is fine, but you need to give them space in between those rows. So let me just show you some more pictures, because yeah, okay, this is what I'm talking about. The picture on the left is my compost pile, and of course they germinated in there and they went all over the place at my house. And you see a big loofah. Can you see this big green loofah here? So it's crazy. But in this case, I've got it here at the office in raised beds. And this was 5 plants. And I would argue that was 4 too many. Okay. So just so you know, they need space. They need something to climb on. Give them that space. All right. The seeds. Seeds are weird. That is a good picture of the seeds. They do have a little film on them, but they will germinate. The first time I grew these gourds, every seed came up within about 6, 7 days. And I was like, this is easy. The next year I grew them, spotty. I mean, spotty, spotty, spotty. In fact, I'll show you some trays here in just a second when we get done. Well, I'll do it right now. This 4-pack, I planted 4 seeds, only 1 came up. Okay, so that tells you something. And then in this tray, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3 plants about the same size. And then look right here, I've got one that's just coming up. So, and these were planted on March 27th. I planted them way too early, but it's a good thing I planted them early because I didn't do any kind of pre-treatment to them. I have done a pre-treatment of soaking them beforehand. That does help a little bit. I've also heard of people wrapping them in a warm paper towel or towel, you know, with warm water heated, you know, for maybe 3-4 days before they before you get them to germinate or put them in the trays. So yeah, sometimes you may have to coax these to germinate. But hopefully you'll be like me the first year and just everything worked perfect. So anyway, yes, you can plant these 4 to 6 weeks before planting outside, but do account for any of these germination issues. Loofahs do like organic matter. So yes, plant something like a cover crop or something, till it in, and that'll make them happy. They're not anything special as far as pH. They like good old 6.5. And as far as the phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, you know, just make sure those are all at the right levels before you plant. And these are monoecious plants. That means they have imperfect flowers, male and female flowers on the same plant. You can see up there, there's the female flower and the male flower. And then as that thing matures and grows, you'll see this is the flower end, and it's pretty distinctive looking. It just stays like that until the bitter end. And of course, this is what you're going for, these good dried loofahs. All right, so yeah, they are pollinated by bees. You're not going to use any insecticides on these when they're blooming, and they bloom all the time. By the time they get growing good and get their first flower clusters out there, they will continue to bloom right up until frost. The bee, I get up early, and when I go, I have these covering my deck. And when I go out, step outside, as soon as it's daylight, there are 6, 8, 10 bees competing for one flower that early in the morning. So if you're scared of bees, don't plant these because they'll be all over it. Now there is data that shows, again, if you want maximum production, to pinch off those first 3 to 4 laterals. And this little graph, you can't see it, but basically it's got on the bottom, it's got the in-row spacing of 31, 61, and 91 inches. And then the circles mean that you remove the 4 laterals. The triangles mean you didn't do anything. And then the other box, don't worry about it. But anyway, you can see the most yield came from 31-inch spacing. So kind of counterintuitive. But by pinching all those, the first 3 or 4 laterals. Do I do that? No. But I might try because it's been shown that it does work, or get more yield. I've got a lot of pictures, as you can tell. So here, obviously, this is the female flower because it's got the little tiny loofah under the flower. That's how you can tell. This is just showing the tendrils. These tendrils need something thin to wrap around. So be sure you're providing some sort of a trellis system. Yeah, expect 10 to 20 loofahs per plant. Trellis is needed. And of course, anytime you get things up and air movement can go through those leaves, you're going to have less disease issues. And yes, that the next to last bullet there, up to 1 inch a day. Okay, I am anal. I am going to show you some things I did last year as far as measuring these things. I measured them every day. And yes, they grow up to 1 inch a day. And they can be big, the fruit, they can be big. 2 feet is not unheard of. All right, so here we go. I told you I was just curious. So here's what we got. Started on day 1. when I know that fruit was set. And this picture is of day 4. Okay, day 4. It's 15 centimeters long, 8 whatever centimeters in circumference, and you can see 7.5. Day 1 was 7.5. Day 2, 9.5. Day 3, 12. Day 4, 15. So we're talking about 2.5 centimeters, which is about an inch a day. We keep going. Day 8. Okay, from day 4 to day 8, look what we're talking about. They're growing an inch a day. There's day 11. Okay, there's day 14. And again, you can tell it's kind of slowing down a little bit. Day 14 is 35.2. Day 15 is 36.1. So we're not getting that 2.5. We're slowing down a little bit. And then by the time you get to day 22, 23, 25, they're done. They're done. So you think, well, this doesn't take that long. Well, guess what? This may be day 28, but I didn't harvest until day 77. It takes that long for that fiber to get in there and make the fiber. So yeah, I'm a little anal, but I was just curious about it, and it has been very interesting. I'll admit, very interesting to see how fast these things grow once they're set. All right, I grow them in containers. If you can, this is my railing, and yes, this is a dumb kitchen cabinet, but anyway, I grow them in these little containers down here, okay, and let them go on my deck railing. It can be done. You just make sure that you're irrigating, because of course, as that thing grows, if it's growing an inch a day, it's going to need irrigation. As far as fertilizer, very little nitrogen's needed. Just make sure you got everything else right. If you give it one shot with your soluble fertilizer, that might be one shot too many, but I know that I have fertilized mine a little bit, not much though. And you can tell here on this picture down below here, here's one that's finished, and there's several back in there that are just about finished. And there's some that just, maybe 10 days have set. So they will, like I said, they'll continue to bloom and set all the way up till frost. Diseases. I haven't had much problem, but they are capable, like anything else, of getting some diseases. And of course, even your seedlings, they can damp off. Anthracnose, powder, just those same things that hit cucurbit crops in general. But I'll be honest, I've not seen much. I've not even seen powdery mildew on mine. So hopefully you'll be the same way and not have a whole lot of disease issues. But you will have to address them if you have them. And insects, toward the end of the season, I start getting a little more problem with squash bugs and some aphids. I know I've had both of those. So just so you know, again, they're blooming all the time. So if you go by that rule that you're not spraying insecticides during bloom, then you'll never spray. And I don't think I have. I just kind of let them go because by the end of the year, I'm done anyway. And then as far as harvesting lupus, you want to leave the plant on. And as I've told you, it took till day 77 from fruit set to harvest that one that I measured. You want to leave them on the plant until they're either completely dry or they look like this second and third picture where they're starting to turn brown at the top, a little brown at the bottom maybe, and get a little speckled. And you can also feel that if you squeeze them, the skin will be kind of loosened. So if you squeeze them, you'll just feel that it'll be loosened up from the fiber that's in there. So after the first frost, it's done. I took a picture last year of all the fruits I harvested that did not make it. There was a lot that didn't make it just because, I mean, they kept blooming and setting until frost. So you're going to have some that don't make it, and that's fine. But for ripe ones, basically the end will fall off. I'll show you here in a minute. I'll turn the thing around and show you some things. But you shake the seeds out, and I'll show you that too. It's real easy. And then you remove the skin. And I've got one soaking over here, so hopefully it will work. And if it's not like this says, if it's not completely brown, you can bang it on the ground and loosen that fiber, and then you just peel it right off. but I usually let mine get hard and crusty and I have to soak them. All right, so if they're green, again, bang them on the ground, remove the skin. It'll be, when you put water on it, it'll be kind of slimy. It'll feel kind of weird, but just rinse it off good. When you have a green one like this picture, it's going to be really hard to get all the seeds out. It just is. So I think that's one of the reasons I like to wait till I harvest them, maybe green, but then I let them dry. Now it does say here, I read this someplace where you can throw them in the hot water cycle of your washing machine. I have not done that, and I probably will not do that. If you have an extra washing machine around that you want to try it with, I'm not going to use it with my regular washing machine. But go ahead and try if you've got an extra handy washing machine. All right, so here's me peeling it. I guess this probably was the first time I did it because I thought it was so cool. Yeah, you peel it, and you can do it dry, but it's much easier to do it when it's wet. And then you shake the seeds out. Right there's what the seeds look like. We'll do this here in just a second, I promise. Here are unclean loofahs, and you can tell there might have been little spots on the outside of the gourd, but you can bleach them, and this is what you get. So they clean right up. If you don't want to use bleach, then and go the all natural look, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with those dirty gourds, it's just they don't look as pretty. And then here's what I do. I soak them. These two gourds go together and these two gourds go together. So you soak them, peel them, and bam. And that's what it looks like coming right out of it. It's really pretty bizarre. And then of course we get to the uses of them. You can eat them. You can eat them. Just saute them up like you do a summer squash and go for it. But young ones, obviously. This picture, it was using a gourd in paint to make designs on your wall if you want to do that. But most of the time we're using these loofah sponges to make clean. I actually have 2 or 3 beside my kitchen sink, and I used it just the other day, as a matter of fact, to clean up some pots and pans. My daughter and I made soaps that look like this, the bottom left-hand corner picture. And the trick to this is you cut the gourd first, and then you get some cheapo muffin tins. That's the easiest way to do it because you don't have to cut through soap. Cutting through soap is hard. But if you get those cheapo muffin tins and put your loofah slice in there and then pour the soap over top of it, bam, you got loofah soap. And then this picture just shows it down here. You use it as a rest for whatever thing you might want a rest for. And this is my last 2 or 3 slides. This is just to show you how they grow. This is one plant here, raised beds here at the office. One plant. Now this is early in the season. Now look at it at the end of the season. That's one plant, one loofah gourd plant. So give them space, trellis them up. And you can see this is the end of the year and they're still blooming like crazy. All right, that's all I got, but I'm gonna turn this around and show you some things. And get all this other paraphernalia out of the way. All right. This is a dried gourd. This is the flowering end, and this thing always pops off. It just pops right off. There's just this little, I don't know, it's like a perforation almost that just allows this to pop off. And then, can y'all see that? And out they come. All right, that's all there is to that. And now the other thing I got here is I took one of these brown, one of these ripe gourds and been soaking it since, I don't know, about 20 minutes, but hopefully you can see this. I'll get a little closer. Hopefully I won't get water on the computer. Anyway, this thing just zips right apart. Okay, really simple to do. I'm so glad this is working. It makes me happy. Best laid plans, you know. But it's that easy to clean them. The hardest part is getting this, all the seeds out. That's always an issue when you look through these gourds. Once you've got them peeled, there's inevitably, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 seeds just stuck and you cannot get it out. So yeah, there we go.